Welcome to Agile workshop. Just a few technicalities. If you don't have a name presented, if you could please add your name so I can know if you have a question who is asking. And please stay muted and get unmute when I refer to you specifically. If you have a question, please write it down on the chat and then I'll know that I need to refer to you, because otherwise we might run over each other and we won't be able to hear each other. So I'll start by presenting myself. I'm putting on the video cam just for a few seconds so you'll be able to see how I look like. Hello everybody. My name is Noga and I am an organizational coach. I'm assisting software development organizations to set up, to improve working processes, one of which is Agile. Today we will start by discussing why we are here. We'll then move to a short introduction to Agile basics. We will then discuss Scrum, and finally we will discuss how we are going to implement Agile in SolidCAM. Oops, מה זה? Sorry. If you cannot see me, or if you cannot see the screen, or you have any question at any point, please write into the chat. Before we start, I'll refer each of you separately. If you could please present yourself and let us know what your role is, how long are you in the company, and what is your level of Agile 1 to 5? Hold on a second. מה? לא רוצה שיראו אותי. אבל זה... So, excuse me for a second. כן. עכשיו פה. Oh. Okay. Anthony, can you please present yourself?
Yes, hi, hello. My name is Anthony. I think I'm the Chief Technical Officer at SolidCAM. I've been here for more than 10 years now at this point, and my Agile knowledge is probably a 1.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ashleisha? I'm probably not pronouncing that well.
Hi, my name is Ashleisha and I work with the documentation team in SolidCAM. I've been with the company for the last 4 years now. And let's say my knowledge of Agile is a little more than 1 because I had some experience of working with this technology in my previous company. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashleisha. Chris Calderon?
Yes, hi. My name is Chris Calderon and work on the iMachining team and been working at SolidCAM for, I think, 7 years.
Agile level?
Sorry, 1.
Thank you. Chris Glover?
Hi, my name's Chris Glover. I've been working at SolidCAM for almost 3 years now, and I work with Chris on the iMachining team.
And Agile level?
I would have to say a 1.
Thank you. Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel Julita, and I'm a SolidCAM support manager, and I'm working for SolidCAM for 5 years, and for sure also my Agile level is level 1.
Thank you. Philip?
Hello. I'm a programmer. I've been working for 10 years in SolidCAM and level 1.
So I understand that the people that we're talking so far are either from the States or India. Philip, where are you from?
I'm in the office here in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. That's why I hear you perfectly well. Harald.
Hi, my name is Harald. Yes, my role is I'm working as a third-party interface product manager. I'm working now for 20 years for SolidCAM, and my Agile knowledge is level 1.
Thank you, Harald.
And I'm from Europe. Europe, located in Germany.
Thank you. John. Oh, there are 2 John. John, can you hear us?
I think you might want to come back to John. It looks like his computer's having trouble connecting to the GoTo meeting.
Let me see. So you're John too?
I think there's 2. I think it shows John twice because I think he connected one time and then it kicked him off.
Okay.
And then it boots back on. So I think you'll see one of the Johns
I
leave
see.
because they're both
I
John D'Amico.
Okay. Thank you. Jyotish? Have I pronounced it?
Hi, my name is, yeah, it is right. My name is Jyotish Rajan. I'm working with QA department in SolidCAM for about 1.5 years now, and my Agile knowledge level is 1.
Thank you. Mark? Mark, can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah?
This is Mark Furstein. Yeah, hi, sorry, I was on mute. My name is Mark Furstein. I work for SolidCAM for almost 18 years as a software developer, and my Agile knowledge is 1.
And you're speaking from?
I'm in Canada.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mickey?
Hi, this is Mickey Berman. I've been working for SolidCAM for the past 10 years, usually stationed in Or Yehuda, Israel. At the moment, on holiday in London. Agile level is 1.
Thank you. Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan Baker. I'm a developer for SolidCAM for 2.5 years now, and my Agile level is 1.
And where are you speaking from, Ryan?
The United States.
Okay. Stanislav?
Hi, my name is Stanislav. I'm from Czech Republic and I work for QA department. It's been now nearly 2 years and my Agile level is 1.
Thank you. So, why we are here? A few people in SolidCAM have recently identified a few issues that they thought should be addressed and probably improved by using Agile methodology. Some of those pains are unclarity of roles and responsibilities. Who am I addressing when I have a question regarding a specific part in the product, for instance? Communication issues. Where is the company heading? What are the plans? What is the big picture? Planning. Do we have an actual plan? Do we meet our commitments? Prioritization. What is more important to do? If I'm a developer, for instance, and I have received a few tasks from different people, which one is more important to solve? Visibility. What are other teams work on? What is the status of each project that we're working on? Predictability. Can we give commitment to clients? Do we know what our capacity? Do we know when are we going to complete the project? Can we predict our future? Feedback. People said that they are lacking feedback from the field. What happened with the products that we worked on? Are they in use? Are they in good enough quality? And knowledge management. There are, as far as I understand, areas of knowledge that are that there are only a few people that are able to work on, and we would like to do some knowledge sharing in the company. So researches and surveys in the Agile area show that organizations that have implemented Agile report a better ability to manage changing priorities, increased productivity, improved project visibility, improved team morale, better quality, less risk, faster time to market, a better alignment of technology between technology and business people, simplified development process, and many more aspects. There are a few surveys like this that are being done on a yearly basis by different companies. So let's start. What is it all about? What is Agile? Can you please chat to me, what do you know about Agile? So I'm just checking if this format of you chatting to me answers is working for us, so we can be more where we can have a more interactive session. So Anthony is saying a method of developing that works on smaller chunks instead of long-term building. Correct. What else do you know about Agile? Okay. Thanks, Harold. So Agile is a general name for a group of software development methodologies that follow a list of values and principles of which two are pretty common knowledge and pretty famous, which are requirements and solutions evolve incrementally instead of planning and developing in one big chunk. We split our development to small chunks and build the product incrementally. And the other very known principle is working in cross-functional teams and self-organizing, self-managed. So any clue why did Agile emerge? What is the problem with previous development methodologies? When we talk about previous development methodologies, we talk mainly about waterfall, which is a long-term planning method built on phase gates. First, we define requirements, then we make a design, then we develop the solution, then we test it, then we deploy it. So researchers show that as years go by, more and more projects that are developed in waterfall methodologies tend to fail to achieve their goals in the planned time and in good enough quality. The reason for that is that as time goes by, we less and less certain about the requirements, the needs of the users, which are changing rapidly, and we are less and less certain about the technology on which we can trust to supply the required solutions. So we live in a pretty chaotic world, and in one of the reasons that these projects fail is because they tend to plan for the long term while technology and requirements change in the meantime. So these plans are no longer relevant. So we either stick to unrelevant plan or we have to change it after making an effort to make it to a plan in the first place. So that was what pushed several people around the world in the mid-90s to try out new work methodologies, and which included Scrum, Crystal, Extreme Programming, and others. And all those methodologies enabled quick development and adapting change. And all those methodologies were inspired by principles of Toyota production system that was developed in Japan in the 50s as a reaction to the economic crisis, and then developed into lean methodologies. Agile followed up some of those principles and invented some more on top of those. So all those methodologies that were tried out already in the 90s were united under a single name called Agile only on 2001, when 17 software development people met on a ski site in Utah. They were probably drinking a lot, because eventually they wrote this document, which is named Agile Manifesto. It contains 2 pages. The first is the one that you see here, and it mentions the Agile values, okay, and the other mentions the 12 Agile principles, which some of which we will present shortly. The Agile, the 4 Agile values are preferring individuals in interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. Sometimes I hear developers saying, oh, that's great, we don't need plans anymore, we don't need documentation anymore, no processes. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. You do need. There is no point in responding to change when you don't have a plan. So the idea was not to avoid planning or documentation or processes. The idea was to put an emphasis on the items that are on the left, and we will shortly see why. The first principle in Agile is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. In Waterfall, we develop the software for a long period of time. The customer gets value only at the end of this period, and throughout this period, the risk of developing the correct thing is growing as time goes by, because we cannot validate across the customer that we are on the correct path. However, in Agile, we are trying to deliver software in small chunks, incrementally, and as time goes by, the risk for developing the correct thing is going down, because as time goes by, we gather information, we gather feedback on the software that we have delivered, and we can fix our plans accordingly. Unlike in Waterfall, where requirements are fixed, the scope is fixed, and we then plan accordingly the amount of resources that we need and the time that we need to complete the work. In Agile, the resources and the time are fixed and the scope changes. So we still need to deliver the same features. However, how much of a feature will we be able to create is dependent on our progress, and we cannot anticipate it up front. So in Agile, if we need to cut anything, we cut scope. We do not cut quality, and we do not postpone releases. Okay, so this is important to understand, that resources and time are fixed. Only scope changes. And so we focus on value and on a qualitative value. So since we want to break the software into small pieces, we need to bring into account that there are several ways to do that. One of which is developing every part to its end, adding every time another part, developing it to its end until we have a whole feature, a whole business value. Another part is to give the full flow from the beginning, but to keep it lean, to keep it thin, to do only what is really necessary functionality wise, and to expand and extend the usability, the UI, add features as we go by. So we would like to break the business value into small features. At the beginning, what we call an opening game, we don't deliver a lot of value because this period is dedicated to technical spikes, to proof of concepts, to maybe A/B testing. Its goal is to collect information, to learn, to accelerate our knowledge. When we have that knowledge, we can then start develop the main functionality, which gives the highest value to the customer. This is what we call the mid-game. And finally, if we still have time, we can add some other functionality. Or we can say, you know what, it doesn't worth it. Let's cut it over here, let's trim the tail. If you have any question, I remind you anytime, please type into chat that you have a question and I'll ask you to speak up. So another principle of Agile is to come to terms with the idea that things are going to change. That's the only certain thing that things are going to change. Therefore, we would like to keep some level of flexibility in requirements, and we would like to keep some level of flexibility in design too. So at first, for instance, if we want to develop a site that charges money, and there are a few ways to do that. Maybe use PayPal, maybe use a credit card directly, maybe bank accounts transfer, and we don't know which one will be mostly used and will give the highest value. So we can, for instance, instead of developing all support for all credit cards at once, develop only support for one credit card and see how useful it is, and if it's useful enough, then we can add support for other credit cards. That's how we keep flexible requirements. We don't declare upfront that our site will support credit cards. And we, as for the design, the meaning is to keep as many as possible options in terms of technologies, for instance, databases that we want to use that might support a different size of information. And as we go by, since it's pretty expensive to support many types of technologies, we decrease the amount of technologies that we need to support until we decide which way to turn. Another principle of Agile development is deliver working software frequently. The reason we want to deliver frequently is to use development, feedback loops. The sooner we deliver software, the sooner we get information. Product development is the process of converting uncertainty to knowledge, says the man that wrote the book, The Lean Machine. He was CEO of Harley Davidson, and he pretty much saved the company from bankrupt by using lean methodologies, realizing that we cannot know everything up front, and we are always in a state of learning. Principle number 4 in the Agile Manifesto states that business people and developers must work together daily. So we would like to make the business people who represent the users closer to the product delivery team, to make the conversation between the two more often and more on a regular basis. Other two principles of Agile Manifesto are talking about individuals and interactions. The first one is talking about build software around motivated individuals. It won't be new for you to know that motivated people are more productive, and researches show that the best motivation is intrinsic motivation. Unlike people think that money is a big motivator, researchers show that in an industry where innovation is required and creativity is required, money is not a good incentive, even vice versa. We do need money to some level, after which we strive for other things, as purpose, as autonomy, and as mastery, the ability to be a master at some skill. The Daniel Pink, which is a writer and a reporter, has wrote a book named The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. He also has a TED Talk, which I highly recommend to watch, Don't worry about writing down all those things. I will send you the PowerPoint at the end of the session, so you'll have it. In his talk, he mentions specific research that was done using a logic problem named the candle problem. In this research, a group of people was given a candle, a box of matches, and a box of needles. And they had to stick the candle to a wall and to light it without having without no, I'm sorry, I'm missing a word in English, without without the candle will not make the floor dirty. Can anyone help me with that? Anthony, maybe?
I'm trying to. What do you mean by spilling wax on the floor? Yeah, without the wax falling on the floor?
Yes, thank you. So that was the logic problem. Another group was given incentives in money. So they were told that as the faster they will solve the problem, the more money they would get. And surprisingly, and this study was run in different locations around the world, different cultures. Surprisingly, the group that was not incentivized got almost always better results. This is only one of many researches on this subject, which led the researchers to an understanding that there is type of tasks on which motivation is not something like money, but it has to be intrinsic. So Agile has adopted this principle of motivated individuals, and the fact that we are working in self-managed autonomic teams which are given a specific goal, they are not told how to get there, and since they work in a cross-functional team, each of the participants in the team has a specific mastery. It increases the motivation of the team, and the team gets better results. Another thing that is very important in Agile is face-to-face communication, as it appears to be the most effective communication method. However, as you know, most of all, that we work in a global company, and we do have to be sometime part of distributed teams. This is a challenging point. We will later talk about other principles that are important regarding team. I just want to mention that what makes a powerful team, in my point of view, is trust. If you have heard about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, the book 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, it's a great one. Patrick Linguini, I think, is the author. He also has, I don't know if he has a TED Talk, but he has a YouTube lecture on which he summarizes his book in 40 minutes. I recommend to watch it. Basically what he says is that whenever there is no trust in the team, people fear to speak up and get into conflict. So then when decisions are taken, they are not committed truly to these decisions, hence not accountable to results, and the results are poor. So out of my experience, this is completely true. And the best way to establish trust is to trust. Start by trusting others. Okay, another very important principle in Agile is to have milestones for project progress. However, not to base those milestones on gate phases as the ones we used to have in waterfall. Actually, there is a research that shows that in some cases, projects that were successfully meeting phase gates had bigger chance to fail. And the reason for that is that requirements were closed too soon. If you remember what we spoke a few minutes ago, we said that we have to keep requirements flexible as long as possible. And in a phase gates method, we usually don't do that. So we lose flexibility, and therefore the projects tend to fail. So what do? We do want to have milestones to follow on project progress. However, those milestones should be based on demos, on reviews, on working software reviews. So Agile Manifesto states that working software is the primary measure of progress. I cannot count the times I've seen project statuses in various tools such as MS Projects on which everything is green and eventually nothing is working. So what's most important is not dashboards, but rather working software. Flow. An interesting principle in Agile is stating that Agile processes promote sustainable development. And it refers both to people, which we don't want them to be working in crazy pace. We want them to work in sustainable pace that allows development for the long term. And it refers also to the success of the project. Operating a product development process near full utilization is an economic disaster. I can give you an example. Anthony, how do you call a road that charges for charges money for riding it?
A toll road.
Okay. So when we have a road in Israel, only one like that, you know, it's a small country, on which cars are can ride for can get to a limit of 130 kilometers per hour, and the road owners get the most value for their investment whenever the road is full of cars and everybody is driving in the maximum speed. However, if an accident occurs, they lose money. So we don't want to be focused on utilization. We want to be focused on flow. So we have to bear in mind that things might happen. Accidents do happen. And to maximize our ability to release software in a continuous flow, we need to bring that into account. So that's the principle of promoting sustainable development. Cross-functional and self-organized teams are important for several reasons. The first one, which we have already discussed, is motivation. The second one is speed, as most of the workers today are knowledge workers, which hold knowledge that a single manager cannot hold. And only if we put all of them together for a good discussion, we will get for the better decisions. That's why I say that decisions should be taken at the lowest possible level. And another thing is the fact that only a method where teams are self-organized and cross-functional can be easily scaled if the organization grows. We don't use hierarchies. We don't need to go through managers in order to promote issues. We have the maximum knowledge within the team. We try to create independent teams as much as possible, units of works that are able to deliver by themselves. So Agile principle number 11 says the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. And the last one I want to mention here is continuous improvement. Agile states that at regular intervals the team reflects on how to become more effective. So on every Agile methodology we have built-in methods for reviewing the way we have been working and what needs to be improved. That might be the good place to say that everything I mention here, everything you'll see later regarding how we want to start work in SolidCAM is only a first setup, and it can and it probably will be changed and improved by you guys according to your insights and experience and understanding. Just like the product itself, so is the process. We learn from experience, and we will be working in iterations, in development iterations of 2 weeks, and at the end of each we will have a session of learning and improving, which I will talk about shortly when we get to Scrum. Whenever we're talking about continuous improvement, we need to bear in mind that optimizing only a subsystem and not, without focusing on the whole might be a waste of time. If, for instance, a team is working very fast, but it depends on a delivery team, on DevOps team, or to deliver the software, and the DevOps team is limited to a specific amount of work, and it cannot be accelerated, then there is no point in optimizing the work of the team. So at every point we need to look not only on our team but globally on the abilities of the organization. Another thing to consider is that in order to get to the best improvement, it is important to take some time to analyze the reasons for failures. We will probably later on in the process we'll learn some root cause analysis method to identify the reasons for problem, the root reasons, and when we address the root reasons, we actually answer more than one problem. So consider facts carefully, then act quickly. We also want to base our conclusions on data where possible, on metrics, which we will later discuss how we're going to do that. Okay, so we are ready to discuss Scrum. I hope you are ready for another about half an hour, then we can take a break. If not, please let me know. So Scrum is one of the most famous, probably the most used Agile methodology. It is a framework for Agile project management. There are a lot of things that Scrum does not define, and we will have to complete ourselves. The things that Scrum do define are artifacts, required meetings for the process, and required roles. The word Scrum, by the way, is taken from the rugby game, which is the point in the game where the ball is out and the team gathers together for re-beginning the game. This is Scrum. Don't ask me why this name was taken for this methodology. Someone there in Utah thought, no, it's not in Utah, it happened before actually. Somebody thought it reminds him of a teamwork, probably. So the first artifact, the thing that everything starts from, is named product backlog. Product backlog is a list of requirements that is uniquely prioritized, which means that there are no 2 items in priority 1 or 3 items in high priority, but the order of the items in the list is their priority. Usually the items in a product backlog are named user stories, and we will get to that later. Every Scrum team, okay, which is a cross-functional team, has its own product backlog. So every Scrum team is responsible end-to-end for some part in the product. The second artifact is named Sprint Backlog. Sprint Backlog is a subset of product backlog. It's a list of user stories that the Scrum team has committed to complete in a specific sprint. So what is a sprint? A sprint is a short development iteration, usually 1 to 4 weeks. Best practice is 2 weeks. It cannot be extended, as we said before. In Agile, the time box is fixed. During a sprint, we try to avoid interruptions. So basically, this is the only unit that is truly planned. And once we have a plan, we try to follow the plan without interruptions. It starts with a goal, and it ends with potentially shippable product increment. Now, the reason it is named potentially shippable is not because we don't know if it will be in high enough quality to deliver. It is potentially shippable because sometimes from a business point of view it doesn't make sense to release it yet. But every sprint result has to get to a level of completeness that is potentially shippable. So every sprint result is a product increment, truly a product increment. The roles in Scrum are 3. The first one is the team. A team in Scrum is called development team, even though it has various functional capabilities in it. It is, as we said, cross-functional and self-organized. The team's role is to deliver potentially shippable product increment in high quality and on time at the end of the sprint, according to plan. The goal of the team is to meet its sprint commitment. A product owner, I have a question here. Anthony asks, so how does an increment be shippable but the sprint cannot be extended? What happens when development or testing takes longer than sprint plan? Okay, that's a good question. Within a sprint, we have a few user stories, and our goal as a team is to try and complete as many user stories. So if we work correctly, even if we planned 10 user stories and we haven't completed all, we have completed only 7 of them, we can still deliver those 7. And the only way where there's nothing to deliver is if we are not working correctly, which means we have completed maybe 80% of the work on the whole 10 user stories. Am I clear, Anthony? Thanks. So, product owner role. The product owner has to define and prioritize the product backlog of a team. That's why every team has a single product owner. The product owner might be working with other product managers, which are experts for specific parts of the product, and they will supply the specifications for those parts. However, the responsibility for the product backlog prioritization of the team is done, the responsibility is of the product owner of that team. The product owner is also the one that accepts or rejects the team work results at the end of every sprint. Scrum Master is a process manager. He is, first of all, a team member himself. He might be a developer, he might be a tester, and he, in addition to his role in the team, he has a role of Scrum Master, which is to be a sort of agile coach to that team, to be agile facilitator, to facilitate the Scrum meetings, which we will discuss in a minute, to remove obstacles that the team runs into during a sprint. It doesn't mean that he has to know everything by himself, but he is responsible for those obstacles to be removed, and to guard the team for outside interference. The meetings that Scrum specifies are planning, daily, review, and retrospective. Sprint planning goal is to commit on plan for the coming sprint. It happens at the beginning of every sprint or at the end of a previous sprint. It doesn't matter, as sprints are always back to back. In order for a sprint planning to take place, we need to know the team capacity for the coming sprint. We need to be able to estimate the first items, the first user stories in the backlog, the ones that are highly prioritized. And those stories need to be ready for implementation. We will shortly discuss what that means. The output of sprint planning is sprint backlog, which is a list of user stories that we have committed to complete in the sprint. The way it works is that the product owner presents the sprint goals, he reviews the highly prioritized user stories in the product backlog, and the team takes each of them, splits them to several technical tasks. They estimate the effort on every task, and they then validate the estimation across the left capacity. When the first story is estimated and we see that it fits the left capacity, we can take it into the sprint backlog and we commit to complete this story, and we move to the next story. And we follow this process until capacity is almost empty. And I say almost empty because one of the things that is important to understand here is what we mentioned before. We don't want to get to situation of full utilization. We need to be prepared to unplanned issues to come up. At first, we don't really know how much time to save for unplanned issues, and we estimate, or we guesstimate, I like to say. We gamble. And as sprints go by, we gather information and we learn how much time our team needs to save for unplanned issues. If correctly prepared, this meeting should not exceed the 2 hours time limit. Any question about sprint planning? So the sprint has started, and on a daily basis we have a meeting named daily stand-up. It doesn't really have to be done standing. However, it does have a reason, because we want to finish the meeting quickly. The goal of the meeting is to sync the team members on the work and to make sure we are on track for the sprint, to make sure that we are going to meet our team, our sprint commitment. Of course, it's done daily. It is highly recommended that it will be done on the same place and on the same time every day, in front of the visibility charts, which you'll meet probably on your next training with on the tool or on Jira. And the format we use is going over each story, and a person that has relevant work on that story is saying, yesterday I worked on this and this, today I plan to work on this and this, and if there is anything that's blocking me, here's the thing. We are not using the meeting to solve problems. However, we use the meeting to identify the problems and to make sure someone is going to address them right after the meeting. So if it's done correctly, it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes to execute a daily meeting. So 2 weeks went by and sprint has ended. So now what we want to do is a sprint review. The goal of the sprint review is to present the sprint results. As we said in one of the Agile principles, the best progress measurement is working software, and this is what we want to do in the sprint review. We want to see a working software. So at the last day of the sprint, the team gathers, guests are highly recommended to come over, and we, according to predefined order, we present the sprint results. We need to be ready with the environment in order for the meeting to be effective, and if everything goes right, we gather some feedback and we'll leave the meeting proud and satisfied by our achievements. It should take half an hour. Right after sprint review, we run another meeting named Sprint Retrospective. The goal of the retrospective is to improve. In order to improve, we want to take a look at our last sprint and to see what we have planned to commit, what we have actually completed, how much of the work was unplanned, and what can we do to improve our work on next sprint. The format we are using is that every team member states what went well and should be maintained, and what went wrong and should be improved. However, this is not a discussion for complaining. We actually want to come up with action items that can be implemented from starting next sprint. Okay, so everything that went wrong should be translated into an actionable item that we can actually do starting off next sprint. For instance, teams usually at the beginning do not estimate tasks correctly. So one of the things that happen is that things take longer than expected because we were underestimating the task. So if I mention it as something that went wrong, I cannot do anything about it. But if, for instance, I say, let's see, the shorter tasks were correctly estimated while the longer ones were not, okay, so let's make sure that every task does not exceed a day long, for instance. So that's an actionable item. This is something that I can implement starting next sprint. So those were the 4 meetings that Scrum specifies by the book. However, we do mention a couple of other things, one of which is a pre-planning phase. I don't call it a meeting, though some of the teams do turn it into a formal meeting at some point. The goal of this phase is to prepare for an effective sprint planning meeting. So a few days prior to the sprint planning meeting, the team goes over the first user stories in the backlog and make sure that the definition is ready and clear, and there is nothing missing there. If there is, this would be the time to approach the product owner and to tell him about it, and he still has time to improve definition to the sprint planning. Another thing to do is to identify required research activities that need to be done in order to be able to estimate tasks correctly. For instance, we need to see how the program, how the software is currently working in order to know if we are able to make a change, or how costly a change will be. Or we need to investigate new technologies in order to propose a way to complete the task and to be able to estimate it. So we have time prior to the planning meeting to get prepared. If we don't do that, the planning meeting tends to be less effective, estimates are less accurate, and meetings take long than they should be. Another meeting that we add to the 4 Scrum basic meetings is called backlog refinement, also known as backlog grooming. The goal of this meeting is to continuously update the product backlog. By updating the product backlog, I mean to removing irrelevant user stories, adding new stories in response to newly discovered needs, reassessing the relative priority of stories, estimating new stories, re-estimating older stories according to new understanding, splitting big user stories into smaller ones that can fit a sprint, and assuring that the stories that are in highest priority are ready for sprint planning, ready for execution. This is an ongoing activity which the product owner leads. At the beginning, it takes once to twice a week, 1 hour meeting to actually build and cook a good product backlog for the team. Later on, it can be reduced to once a week, maybe even once in 2 weeks. It depends on the level of changes and the pace of changes and the amount of work that is required to prepare. So if we take a look at the Scrum routine, every sprint starts with sprint planning of about 2 hours, where the whole team participates, and ends with a sprint review to present the sprint results, a half-an-hour meeting, which is followed by sprint retrospective, which is also half-an-hour meeting, and its goal is to improve the process. During these 2 weeks, we have a backlog refinement meetings, and on a daily basis, we have a daily sync and status meetings. And as I said before, sprints are back to back, and so the process repeats itself every couple of weeks. Okay, question by now. So either you are not level 1 in Agile, or you are shy, or I'm doing a great job. And the last one doesn't seem like the right answer. No questions. There's a lot of information here. So let's see if you have actually captured everything I just said. Do you know an application or a game named Kahoot? Please type in your cell phones, if you have a cell phone, or on your computer, Kahoot. You will be referred to a site named kahoot.it. Okay? And we have a game here that I have prepared. These are this is a game of American questions with a few questions with a few options to answer. You need to insert the game pin that shows on the screen, and Chris is the first one. Chris Glover. And once you have joined the game, your name shows on the screen. So I see 8 players already. Does anyone has a problem to connect to the game? Someone dropped. If you have a problem to connect, please let me know. Okay. So we will start the game, and even if you cannot connect, you'll be able to watch. Oh, Anthony is online. Great. So we have 13 questions. Can you see my screen? Okay. So the first question is, what is Agile main purpose? And you have the answers here. Improve management visibility to employee work, early and continuous delivery of valuable software, improve employee engagement, or improve productivity. Which answer is the correct one? The faster you answer, the higher you are ranked in this game. So all of you answered correctly. Early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Okay, so you were listening. Philip, well done. Next question. What is fixed in Agile? What cannot be changed in Agile? Resources and time, scope and time, scope, resources and time. Which one is the correct one? Thank God you can't see me right now because I'm dancing here. And the correct answer is resources and time. Very good, guys. Stanislav. Question number 3. Why is it important to deliver software frequently? To get rid of the work more quickly? To increase overhead of releasing software? To get feedback and learn? Or all of the above? Someone is not answering. And if for some reason you cannot answer, you can, if you can close the game, go out of the game. Great. To get feedback and learn. That's the correct answer. Question number 4. What is the best communication method in Agile? Over mail, flow of tasks in a system, no need to communicate, or face-to-face? Which one is the correct answer? Is it the one that we're currently having? Very good. So maybe I'm not such a bad teacher after all. Let's see. Or the questions are too easy. Question number 5. What is the primary measure of progress in Agile? working software, stories are marked completed, green progress charts, or the team says, we are on track. I apologize for the spelling mistakes I have here. Well done, working software is the primary measure of progress. That's why we have a demo at the end of every sprint. What are the Scrum team different roles? What are the roles defined by Scrum? Product owner, team leader, and Scrum Master, or team, product owner, and Scrum Master, or product manager, Scrum Master, and tester, or team, team leader, and CEO. So the right answer is team, product owner, and Scrum Master. We don't have a team leader in Agile. A team leader is a concept that is usually used in the software industry for a technical leader or a direct manager or both. And we don't have that in Scrum. Scrum Master is not the direct manager of any of the team members, but rather a servant leader that assists the team to be a successful team. Question number 7. Which of the following is true for product backlog? 1. Every team has its own product backlog. 2. Product backlog consists of user stories. 3. The items order is the item's priority. 4. All the answers are true. Nice. All the answers are true. Question number 8. What is a sprint backlog? List of prioritized stories for a team. List of bugs to be solved in the next sprint. List of team members that work in that sprint. List of stories that the team committed to complete in sprint. Good, that's a confusing questions. People get to be confused between sprint backlog and product backlog. So product backlog is a prioritized list of requirements, while the sprint backlog is a subset of that list, which is a list of user stories that the team has committed to complete in a specific sprint. Question number 9. What are the goals of the daily meeting? Is it status for managers? Is it solving problems? Is it sync team members and validate we are on track for sprint? Is it none of the above? Good. Question number 10. How long is a retrospective meeting? Aha. "15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. "30 minutes. Yes, we can talk forever about what needs to be improved, but we try to keep in time frame of 30 minutes per 2 weeks. Question 11. Which meetings take place at the end of the sprint? Sprint review is answer 1, sprint retrospective is answer 2, sprint planning is answer 3. Aha! So sprint planning usually takes place at the beginning of the sprint, but you are correct that I have mentioned in the presentation that it can take place at the end of the previous sprint. Though formally the two meetings that take place at the end of the sprint are the sprint review, which its goal is to present the sprint results, and the sprint retrospective, which its goal is to improve the process. So that's why answer 1 and 2 are correct. And also I suppose that stating answers 1 and 2 is unclear here in this game. Sorry for that. Question number 12. 2 more to go. What is the goal of the sprint review? To present the sprint results demo. Okay, I know it's confusing with a sprint retrospective, which its goal is to retrospective, to look back and to see what needs to be improved. Review is a demo. Last question. What do we do in product backlog refinement meeting? In grooming meeting, what do we do? Reprioritize items in the backlog, adding new stories to backlog, estimating backlog stories, or all of the above. And the correct answer is all of the above. And your achievements, guys, are pretty awesome, especially for an online meeting on which you can hardly speak. So We are going to take a break now of 20 minutes. And let us re-meet here. Please stay online in 4:05. See you soon. Mickey, are you aware that you are unmuted?
Yes, I'm aware, but I I could see that I appear as not participating.
You are participating.
I know I am,
Oh,
but there's some marking which is missing.
are you here at the Or Yehuda office?
No, I'm in London at the
Or in
moment.
London? Okay. Write your own information.
Opposite each name, there's an arrow to the right,
Yeah.
and if you touch it, it enables that particular person to chat.
Mm-hmm. It says allow chat. Should I turn it off?
No, what I mean is opposite my name, there is no arrow.
Oh,
So I thought maybe for some reason I was removed from the participating group.
that's weird.
Who am I talking to?
You're talking to Noga, the presenter.
Hi. It's the first time we've talked.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. It's time to continue. So what we are going to do now is dive a little bit into some of the Scrum concepts. Will take no longer than an hour for that, and we'll continue from there directly to how we are going to implement Scrum in SolidCAM. I just would like to say how much I appreciate the fact that all of you are online from literally all over the globe in all those weird times. I'm happy to have you here. So the team in Scrum, as we said, is responsible for delivering working software, a product increment in high level, in a done level, potentially shippable level at the end of every sprint. Team usually has 4 to 9 people, cross-functional, whenever possible, it is best it will be co-located to enable the team to communicate face-to-face. It is highly recommended that team members will be full-time members, meaning that they will not be shared resources when possible. The team is self-organizing, which means that they are free to decide how to work within the sprint as long as it meets organizational standards, which aren't too many of those. Membership is long-lived, and we don't tend to change people between teams often. Responsibility is shared between all team members to everything. Team members are responsible to their product end to end. Though there are functional specialties in the team, we do share responsibility for everything. The Scrum Master, as we said before, is a coach to a successful Agile or Scrum team. So his goal is to help the team succeed. As I said before, first of all, he is a team member. So for being a Scrum Master, you need to allocate 20 to 30% of your time assisting the team to learn and apply Agile practices, facilitate the Agile meetings. It doesn't mean that the Scrum Master has to do everything by his own, but he's responsible for those things to take place. Scrum Master is the contact person for communication with externals, which are other teams or management, to avoid interruption to other team members. He is an impediments remover. He monitors the team's progress, ensures visibility of the sprint status, first of all for the team itself, in order for it to be able to meet its commitment, and also for outsiders. It challenges the team to continuously improve, and it coaches the team to take ownership on their commitments and empower them to be team players. Now we are going to watch a movie about the product owner role. Please chat in everything that you identify as the product owner role. This movie is pretty loaded with information. It also reviews some things that we have already discussed, so it's a good rehearsal. And just please pay attention and write down whatever you identify as the product owner job. Oh, sorry. I got a question here. Should we hear something? Yes. I stopped the movie now, but can who else cannot hear? I see. Okay, okay. Not even now? I see. Okay. Okay, so we'll skip the movie. I'm sorry for that. The product owner role. So the product owner is responsible for the product return of investment, okay, which means that it will be valuable to develop whatever he wants to develop. So he's responsible to define the product. As I said before, he might be working across other product managers, so he's not doing it alone. He prioritizes the backlog, and he doesn't do that by himself as well. He has to discuss with the various stakeholders, which are sometimes the support, sometimes the QA, of course business and marketing, sometimes even the development, which needs to make some technical changes. He has to make sure that the product backlog will be mature, will be in high quality on time, which means that there should be enough user stories in ready state for at least This is, just a moment, Avi. This is not, Avi, this is not the correct link. This is the link for 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And the movie is about Agile from a product owner perspective. I'll send it. I'll send it later. I just, if they open it from here, then everyone, each person will have to watch it separately. So we'll leave it. We'll skip it. So as I said, the content of the product backlog should consist of at least a user stories that will be enough for at least a sprint and a half ahead. So product owner has to make sure that there are enough stories in ready state that are ready for execution. Yeah. The product owner sets the sprint goal. He is the one to validate and accept the sprint artifacts. And during the implementation, he has to support the team to give clarifications, sometimes need to reprioritize, sometimes need to change the scope. He has to collaborate with other product owners and continuously communicate with stakeholders. So the product owner has about 50% of his time in product vision in the future, in collecting requirements, and 50% as a team member, supplying the team with the necessary details for implementation, reviewing implemented stories, etc. So just as the rules of chess can be learned in 5 minutes while mastery takes a lifetime, so is Scrum. It is pretty simple to understand, but it's not that simple to master. What requires, what assists us to acquire mastery is nothing else but experience. So in Waterfall, we were developing for a long period of time and then testing the software. In Scrum Level 1, when a team starts implementing Scrum, it sometimes happens that it looks like a mini waterfall, or what is called Scrumfall, where all the user stories that were committed in the sprint are developed first and tested next. However, the level we want to get to as soon as possible is Scrum Level 2, where the development and QA work pretty closely. What enables this is trying to achieve as many as completed story at any time. So we start working on the first story or two, and we try even to work a few developers on the same story to complete it sooner, and then the testers can start testing that story, and only then we move to the next story. And while testing this story, if bugs are found, it should be in higher priority to solve those bugs than to complete another story, and so on. That's how we assure that we will get some content in completed in a way that is potentially shippable at the end of every sprint. So how does the backlog look like? At the beginning, when we just build the backlog, we put in everything that's on our mind, and some of the things are, the items in the backlogs are in different granularity. Some are big, some are smaller, but as we approach execution, which means that the highest prioritized items in the backlog need to be in a size that fits a sprint. Need also to be already well defined. So how do we break big features into small stories? We have to make sure that we don't cut it by engineering levels, but that we supply each time a whole piece of cake with all the levels inside. Front end, back end, business logic, everything is encapsulated in a single story. So we don't have one story for infrastructure and another for UI. User story is a small piece of business value that a team can deliver in a single sprint. Iteration is a sprint. Okay? A single team can deliver in a single iteration. The most important thing about user story is that it has a value. The most popular format to assure that the important things are written in a user story is the following format. As a specific role, I want a specific functionality so that I can gain a specific value. Every user story should have an acceptance criteria, which defines the story boundaries. The questions that are answered through the acceptance criteria are: how will the product owner verify that the story is working as accepted? Another possible question is: what will be presented on the sprint review, on the demo? Okay, so this is basically the main testing scenario that validates that the user story is complete. Another method to make sure that the user story is written in high quality is called invest. Independent means that that every user story is independent from other user stories. This is allowed when we have a clear acceptance criteria. Negotiable means that the requirements are flexible and the design is flexible. Valuable, we know what it means. Estimatable means that it is clear enough and small enough that we can give it an estimation. Small means that it should be in a size that can be completed within a single sprint by a single team. And testable means that the QA knows how to test it, and as I said before, it has an acceptance criteria. Another famous user story template calls 3Cs. It has the definition has to fit into a card. It should be negotiable, which means we can discuss it. We can have a conversation on the user stories, how to implement it, and it has a confirmation, which is similar to an acceptance criteria. We have here user stories samples from a travel website. The first one is, as a user, I want to reserve a hotel room so that I can find exactly the room I want. If we dive a little deeper, we can see that such a user story requires a pretty big acceptance criteria. Verify that a premium member, for instance, can cancel the same day without a fee. Verify that a non-premium member is charged 10% for a same-day cancellation. Verify that an email confirmation is sent. Verify that the hotel is notified of any cancellation. So going forward, as we approach the time where we want to execute, to implement the user story, we sometimes need to break it into smaller stories, and the acceptance criteria of the bigger story can suggest the user stories that we can write. For example, as a premium site member, I can cancel a reservation up to the last minute. As a non-premium member, I can cancel up to 24 hours in advance, and so on. So, as we said before, the product backlog should have enough user stories in ready states for at least a sprint and a half ahead. Why a sprint and a half? Because when we come to sprint planning, only then we will know better how much stories can the team can commit to. It can be a bit less or a bit more than we expected. Also, at some cases, the team cannot commit to a user story in high priority because it has outside dependencies, or someone in the team with relevant knowledge is missing, or it doesn't fit the left capacity of the team. So in that case, we always check if there's a smaller or another story in the backlog that can get into the sprint backlog. That's why we need to come to sprint planning with enough stories that are in ready state. In order to reach that point, we have what we call a definition of ready, which is a checklist of things to be completed in advance in order for the story to be implemented. This list includes currently, and it is always subject to change according to our experience, but currently it includes the fact that the definition is clear to developers and testers. There is an acceptance criteria. There is high-level effort estimation, and UI sketches were needed. The reason we need high-level effort estimation is, first of all, for calculating the return of investment to realize if we want at all to implement this story. The second reason is to be able to create forecasts. I don't like using the term long-term planning in Agile. I prefer forecast because things always change, and at any given point we want to be able to give a forecast of when we will be able to supply our whatever we have in our plans, as long as we keep the current priority. The third reason for high-level effort estimation is to allow the product owner to know how much stories to prepare for the next sprint and a half. Any questions on that? I trust you to write questions whenever you have them. We also have a concept named definition of done. Similarly to definition of ready that defines when a user story is ready for implementation, definition of done defines when a user story is truly completed and ready to be delivered. This might include code is implemented and maybe merged to the correct branch, functionality is tested, unit tests run successfully, we don't have critical bugs, if any, integration tests passed successfully when we have integration tests for every sprint. We don't always have that at the beginning. Regression tests, at some companies, part of the definition of done is automation of tests and the documentation of the story. So definition of ready defines when user stories are ready for implementation, and definition of done defines when stories are done and ready for delivery. The difference between definition of done to acceptance criteria is that the definition of done is quality focused, okay? What we need to do to achieve the desired level of done. What we need to do in order for the user story to be truly potentially shippable. While acceptance criteria is functionality focused, okay? What should be the functionality that is implemented by that specific story? Definition of done is generic for all stories, and acceptance criteria is different for each story. Definition of done can be, we can have definition of done for different levels and time boxes, e.g. for user story, for feature, for release. However, acceptance criteria, only stories and features have them. We'll get into those different levels in a few minutes when we discuss implementation of Agile in SolidCAM. So, but always, acceptance criteria is part of the user story definition of done. Part of the user story definition of done is that the story meets its specific acceptance criteria. Okay, so when we are in a sprint review, in order to know that a story is done, we need to read the acceptance criteria and see if it fits the acceptance criteria. That's the easiest, the most important thing to do. So now we are ready for the last part. How we are going to implement Agile in SolidCAM. So first of all, a group of people here, which we have named Implementation Steering Forum or Implementation Forum, has sat together and scratched their minds and came up with this plan of 4 teams. Team 1, the product owner is Amod, and the Scrum Master is Avi. Team 2, product owner is Sydney, and Scrum Master is Iran. Team 3, product owner is Michael, and the Scrum Master is Ksenia. And at Team 4, product owner is Anthony, and Scrum Master is up to you guys, the American teams, and the team with Mark. Maybe I should name you the North American team. It's up to you to discuss and decide to choose the Scrum Master.
I can already tell that Mark wants to be the Scrum Master.
Really?
Yeah. I'm gonna nominate Mark already. Yes. He wants the
nice?
level of importance.
Is he nice?
He's from Canada, so he's as nice as he can be from being from Canada. No.
The nicest in North America.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, Americans tend to be pretty violent these days. They're pissed off for some reason.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So.
But I think we will pick Mark. I think.
Okay.
I don't know that you will put it. Yeah.
A few notes about Scrum Master required skills. He should be pretty organized, and he should be familiar and actually passionate to Agile. I will gladly refer you, Mark, to resources, to relevant resources, and he has to have a very high communication skills. So,
you've described Mark perfectly. I could not think of a better person.
Great. I'm happy to hear that. I'm very happy to hear that.
And he also speaks multiple languages, so this also helps. So he can,
Which languages other than English?
Hebrew and Russian.
Oh, great. Excellent.
See, Mark, I knew you were the right person to nominate.
Anthony, we'll discuss it, okay?
This will make my life easier, that's for sure. Okay. So, some emphasis about the difference between a product manager and product owner. As we have 8 product managers in SolidCAM, they cannot all be product owners because we have 4 teams, and as we said before, every team has a single product owner to assure that there is one voice to every team. So while the product owner is responsible for prioritization of the product backlog of his team, and the product manager is an expert person for a specific product area. It happens to be, and not by chance, that all of the product owners in SolidCAM are also product managers. That's the best way anyway, but sometimes it's not the case. So a product owner should prioritize the backlog based on the inputs from the relevant product managers. And product owner is in a high in a very high communication with the development team. So he has to participate in all the team meetings. Product manager, however, may work across several product owners, across several teams, and it will be the best if he can participate in a Teams meeting only according to necessity and his capacity. Otherwise, he will be spending his lifetime in meetings. So if I have to recommend on which team meetings to participate, I would say that the most important ones are the grooming, the backlog refinement, on which a product manager both explains the user story and the why, and gives a big picture and collects technical information for return of investment, etc. And the other meeting I would recommend a product manager to participate is the sprint review, where he can review the actual results of the sprint. On a daily basis, throughout the sprint, the connection between product managers to the team will be managed through the product owner, and we'll have to see how well it works for us. Oops. So what is the implementation schedule? So team 1 has already started the grooming process, the backlog refinement process, and will start its first sprint on Tuesday, February 7th. Team 2 and 3 will start their grooming or backlog refinement process on February 6th, and I forgot to fix the mistake here. They will start the process implementation, their first sprint, 2 weeks after Team 1, which is 20 or 21 of February. As for the North American team, we haven't yet scheduled the beginning of implementation, and I highly recommend Anthony and Mark that you will discuss this with Terry. How do we build the backlogs? So there are a few things that we already know that we want to implement or are in process of work already. However, next user stories will evolve from a company backlog, which we are calling SolidCAM vision backlog or company backlog. It will be built in big chunks by a SolidCAM vision team, which is built of Emil, Terry, Eddie, Ira, Gennady, Michael, Zvika, and Anthony. If you need some elaboration on this, I am not part of this process, and other people that participated in the steering forum would be, and our online would be happy to elaborate. The vision team defines in this backlog initiatives. How do they do that? Every product manager is invited anytime to send to this forum a list of proposed initiatives in his area of expertise. Not only product managers, but every SolidCAM employee can do that through a product manager. Those initiatives will be discussed in the Vision Forum and will eventually create a list of initiatives, prioritized initiatives, which are the Vision product backlog. Every initiative is then split into epics. The difference between initiative to an epic is that initiative is a long going subject that can be developed over releases, cross releases, and across teams, while epic has boundaries and has a clear due date. It should be released in a specific release, so it has to fit into a size of a release, though it can be developed across teams. As I said, initiative is defined by the group of business owners that we've seen before. However, it is broken into epics by a forum of POs, product owners, and product managers. An example for initiatives can be Swiss type support, a new tool table, or wire EDM. If I have some mistakes here, I apologize up front. An example for epics of the Swiss type support initiative can be smart holder, machine simulation support, the VM ID support. I know I have a mistake here, right? So initiatives and epics are part of the SolidCAM Vision product backlog. Product owners and product managers should break epics into stories. As we said before, a story is a piece of value that can be completed by a single team in a single sprint. So the forum of product owners and product managers divide every epic to stories and assign them to the relevant teams. An example for user stories that are part of the smart holder epic can be STL insert, tools and assembly, or add kinematic access for tools. Excuse me. Every story can be divided to subtasks, which are technical piece of works that should be done by and can be assigned to a specific team member. For example, for the STL insert can be divided into create envelope for STL insert, STL insert test, and so on. The subtasks are created only by the team itself if they think it is required for a better sprint planning. For example, when more than one person is working on a user story and we want to assign subtasks to the different people that are working on the story, or when we want to divide the work into small pieces that we can more easily estimate, this is a good reason to create subtasks. Subtasks are visible and relevant for the team only. They have no relevance and no interest for anyone outside the team. In a company, or the visibility levels that we will create for the whole company will be from initiative through epic to story. So as we said, an initiative can be divided into epics, and every epic should be assigned to a specific release. Every epic should be divided into stories, and a story can be completed by a single team in a single sprint, and epic can be divided into stories that can be completed by different teams. The SolidCAM vision team decides on the version release dates. The product owners and product managers forum decides on release content, on the epics that should be released in a specific release. As for the stories content, it depends on the level of depth that we are able to get to by the time we have. As we said before, we gather knowledge as we go along, so we can't really say in advance that a specific amount of stories will be completed. We need to make sure that we divide them correctly and that we prioritize them correctly by their value, so the first one will be implemented for sure. So if we go over the process of creating the backlogs, the SolidCAM vision team receives from product managers list of initiatives. Each initiative should have a description and a business value, and the vision team decides which initiatives are added to SolidCAM backlog and what should be their priority. The product owners and product managers forum breaks the first, the high prioritized initiatives in SolidCAM backlog into epics. Each epic has a value which can be either business value or software value, and each epic has an acceptance criteria, and it can be done in one release. If according to a breakdown of the epics into the initiatives into epics, we have a new information regarding the cost of the initiative, then at this point we update the business value of the initiative according to the new information we have about the cost. SolidCAM vision team then prioritizes the backlog by each epic value, and the product owners, product managers forum takes the few first epics, breaks them into stories, and assign them to the relevant team's backlogs. And from that point on, each product owner works across his team in a grooming backlog refinement process to estimate the stories, to update the stories if required, and again the information gathered by the team and can be scaled up to epics and initiatives when necessary. Few more points. How do we manage cross-team dependencies? So as we said, we don't want to switch team members between teams often. And in Agile we say that it is better to bring the work to the people than the people to the work. So if we do have a dependency in other team, and for sure we are going to have dependencies at the beginning as people have a very specific area of knowledge. We want to manage this dependency using user stories. So whenever we identify that our team needs something from another team, we should ask the product owner of the other team to add a story, give the required information regarding the story necessity and value, so the product owner will have all the relevant information to correctly prioritize this story for his team. The prioritization is done in light of the company backlog priorities. Okay, it's not a question of an interest of the product owner or personal preferences. It has to be in light of the company priorities. Bugs management. So there are 4 different sources of bugs. One is the e-support system, another is the fly spray system, and 2 others are internal. A member of another team found a bug in a product area that is in my team, or I myself or someone from my team found a bug in a product area that is under the responsibility of my team. So as for the e-support system, what happens today is that a task in e-support is opened directly on a specific QA member. So if that continues to happen, the team member should open the bug or a user story, it depends on the task level, to the relevant team product backlog in coordination with the product owner, and assign the e-support task to that product owner. As for the fly spray, every issue in the fly spray today is getting to Ira, the QA manager, which is also the fly spray manager, and she currently assigns the bugs to specific QA testers. So this is going to change because, as we said, ownership on a specific product area is a team ownership. So what has to happen is that the ERA will open a story or a bug on the relevant product backlog of the relevant team, again with coordination of product owner. The same goes with internal cases where another team member or our team member finds a bug or has a story to add to the team backlog. It should open he should open a bug or a story on the team backlog. Only when the reason we do that is to allow the product owner to prioritize any issue that comes into the pipeline across other issues and not doing stuff according to whatever was done today. So everything shows up eventually in the backlog of a team and continuously prioritized against other things, and it is only on sprint planning that those issues will be specifically assigned to a specific team member according to the team decision. Whenever issue that emerged from e-support system or fly spray system has reached a closure, it has to be closed as well on the other system. By the way, when we open a bug or a story on the team backlog in our new system, which I will talk about in a few minutes, we don't need to duplicate the information, but only put a reference to a link to the other system, which consists all the information. Going forward, the goal is to eliminate one of those systems, most probably the fly spray, because we need one system as support system for external users and one system for internal use for Agile project management. In cases where the story or bug requires documentation, we will change the user story state to a state which we will create and will be named needs documentation. That way the documentation team can always filter according to this state and gets the relevant their work by priority and work accordingly. As for branching methodology, nothing currently changes. We are going to work in the same way we worked so far, a branch per version, except for specific developments which we identify that can risk the main branch, on which a special branch will be created. So I mentioned before that we are going to use a new tool for the Agile process management, and this tool is named Jira. Atlassian company has this tool, as well as Confluence. Jira is a tool for issue management, task management, it was not initially created specifically for Agile project management, but as the world moving to Agile, also Jira was adjusted accordingly, and it supports Agile. It allows us to manage initiatives, epics, stories, subtasks, bugs, team product backlog, the team sprint backlog, and it allows us also to scale the visibility up cross teams. So this is a good return of investment. Talking of price versus value, this is an excellent tool. It's in high usage, and therefore has a lot of information on the internet. Confluence, also an Atlassian tool, is a knowledge management tool that integrates very well with Jira. It can use for internal documentation, both for the product and the process, or internal team discussions, retrospectives, and so on. It works like a wiki. It has the ability to maintain a hierarchy of web pages, and also keep data in various types of formats. You will be given training about Jira and Confluence next week by the guru, the one and the only Eran, which has recently studied a lot on that tool. So I'm not going into the tool right now, just so you'll know. All right. How much time do we have left? We have. Any questions by now? So what we have talked by now should be sufficient for you to get started. Are you feeling ready? Are you feeling you're missing anything? Do you have any questions? Okay. So this is a bonus, what I'm going to go over right now. If you feel you are overwhelmed and or too tired, if you're in India, or too tired because it's too early in the morning in the States or Canada, please feel free to skip it and to leave, to exit the meeting. You've got enough knowledge to get started. Questions can be directed to me anytime. I have my contact details on the last slide of this presentation, which you will be given later on today. You can refer to me by email or by WhatsApp any day, anytime, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. A few words about Agile and quality. The way we used to work until now is leave the quality to the end. quality is done by testers, it's the QA responsibility, and we don't have to be worried about it until we start testing. However, this doesn't work. What we need to do is to change our mindset. Quality is not something you sprinkle on top. Quality is something we have to bake in. So how do we do that? Using continuous integration. I love this picture. This is what happens when we don't have continuous integration. We find out only at the end that things don't work together. Continuous integration has a lot to be said about. It not at the moment, just to keep in mind that if we have continuous integration, we know at almost at every moment that things are working together and don't break anything old. What is required for continuous integration is automated testing. Without automated testing, continuous integration cannot be done. A word about bugs. Bugs should not be left behind, because the real cost of bugs is their overhead, the context switch of fixing them, and of course the lowered motivation. So in Agile, whenever we have a bug, it is considered part of the work unless we agree that it can be delivered that way. If it can be delivered that way, it's not really a bug. Okay, it is something we want to improve later, but we are ready to live with it as is. So we are pretty done here. I would be happy if you could send me by mail later on what worked well for you in this presentation and should be maintained, and what went wrong and should be improved, as I suspect we might have a few additional online sessions like this in the coming future. Last word, everything we mentioned here is only the way we start. Already at the end of the first sprint, you will most probably have inputs on what needs to be improved and changed. Some of the things will be relevant for your team only and can be, of course, implemented in your team. Every team is autonomic to work the way it thinks. Some things should be changed on the organizational level, and we will highly appreciate your inputs at any time, so we'll know how to improve. So the only source of knowledge is experience. So soon enough we will kick off this process, and I wish you all success and to come with a positive attitude, and to hear from you very soon. I will send you the presentation with a mail very soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.